Once upon a time, in the grand kingdom of Eldoria, there lived a young prince named Elian. He was admired by the common folk for his kindness and generosity, but within the walls of his family's palace, he stood out like a golden thread in a tapestry of selfishness. The royal family of Eldoria was known for their indulgent lifestyles. King Reginald, Prince Elian's father, was obsessed with power and luxury, constantly throwing lavish feasts and banquets while ignoring the needs of his people. Queen Mirabelle, his mother, cared only for her own beauty and status, spending hours with servants tending to her appearance, never once showing concern for those beyond the palace walls. Prince Elian's siblings, Princess Lavinia and Prince Octavius, were no different, lavishing themselves with fine clothes, jewels, and gifts, ignoring the plight of the kingdom. But Prince Elian was different. From a young age, he felt a deep connection with the people of Eldoria. While his family feasted, Elian would secretly slip out of the palace, disguised as a commoner. He visited the town's market square, where he spent hours talking to farmers, merchants, and children. He saw the poverty that plagued his kingdom, the hunger in the eyes of the people, and the struggles of those who lived beyond the palace gates. This weighed heavily on his heart, for he knew that the kingdom's wealth could be used to ease their suffering. One day, as the kingdom prepared for yet another grand ball, Prince Elian asked his father for an audience. Standing before the king's opulent throne, Elian said, "Father, the people are in need. While we feast and celebrate, they suffer from hunger and illness. I beg you to consider using the kingdom's wealth to build homes, provide food, and help those in need." The king scoffed, his brow furrowing with displeasure. "Nonsense, Elian," he said. "The wealth of Eldoria is meant for the royal family. We are their rulers, not their caretakers. They should be grateful for the protection we provide." "But, father," Elian persisted, "what is a ruler without the love and loyalty of their people? If we do not care for them, how can we expect them to care for us?" Queen Mirabelle, who had been sitting nearby, chimed in with a sneer. "You worry too much, Elian. The people are beneath us. Let them fend for themselves. We have more important matters to attend to, like tonight's ball." Elian, disheartened but not defeated, left the throne room. He knew his family would not change their ways, but he couldn't stand by and do nothing. That night, while his family prepared for the grand ball, Elian donned his simple cloak and ventured out into the kingdom once more. In the village, he met a group of orphans huddled by a fire, their faces gaunt with hunger. Without hesitation, Elian gave them the food he had brought from the palace. One of the children, a little girl with large, sad eyes, looked up at him and whispered, "Thank you, kind sir. But why do you help us when the others do not?" Elian knelt down and smiled. "Because it is the duty of those who have much to care for those who have little. Never forget that." As the days passed, Elian continued to visit the village, using his own allowance to buy food and supplies for the people. Word of his kindness spread, and soon the villagers began to trust the mysterious young man who helped them in their time of need. But not everyone in the kingdom approved of Elian's actions. Prince Octavius and Princess Lavinia, who had grown suspicious of their brother's frequent absences, followed him one evening. When they saw him helping the villagers, they were furious. Returning to the palace, they immediately told the king. "Father," Octavius shouted, "Elian has been giving away our wealth to the peasants. He is undermining our rule." The king was livid. Summoning Elian to the throne room, he demanded an explanation. "How dare you betray your own family, Elian?" the king thundered. "Do you not understand that our wealth is what keeps us in power?" Elian stood tall, his voice calm but firm. Father, power without compassion is not true power. Our people suffer while we live in excess. If we do not change, they will one day rise against us. The king's face reddened with rage. You are no longer fit to be my son, he declared. You care more for the commoners than your own blood. From this day forward, you are banished from the palace. Go live among your beloved people. Elian was escorted out of the palace, but he did not mourn his fate. Instead, he walked into the village with his head held high. The people welcomed him with open arms, and though he no longer lived in the luxury of the palace, he found something far more valuable: the love and respect of the people. As time passed, Elian's reputation grew. The people of Eldoria began to rally around him, seeing him as the true leader of the kingdom. They built homes, grew crops, and supported one another, all inspired by Elian's selflessness. Soon, the kingdom flourished not because of the wealth of the royal family, but because of the strength and unity of its people. Word of the thriving villages reached the palace, and even King Reginald could not ignore the change. Reluctantly, he invited Elian back to the palace, offering him a seat at the council. But Elian, now wise and humble, refused. I will always serve the kingdom, he said, but not from within these walls. My place is with the people. And so, Prince Elian lived out his days among the common folk, not as a prince but as a servant of the people. His family, though they never fully understood his choices, watched in awe as the kingdom prospered under his guidance. Elian had shown them that true leadership was not about wealth or power, but about compassion, generosity, and the willingness to serve. And so, the kingdom of Eldoria thrived, not because of the riches within the palace, but because of the richness of the hearts of its people, led by the selfless prince who chose to put others before himself.